Hi again, it's me, Fairiekin, and just so that you are aware, this is part 2 of a 3-part process. So if you want to see part 1, where I discuss the lore behind Bunnariums, which is the concept I'm working from, developed by Wen-Shark. So a little more information about Bunnariums, real fast. This is a personal species developed from a world and lore that Wen has developed. And I hope that those who are interested in making a Bunnarium will appreciate the world that is being built. Wen chose to make the Bunns a closed species, as they want to share what they've built and have others join in and explore the world that they are building. I would like to make sure that any official Bunnarium falls into the correct traits and lore that's being built behind them. If you are interested in more about the lore behind the Bunnariums, I will leave a link down below just for that. So last time, I did all of the normal doll prep. I cut her in half, set the aquarium in place, did all of the body blushing, and now we're ready to make her outfit. So because obviously I'm not going to cover up the aquarium, I need to make something that's not only open, but also highlights that aspect. I was very inspired by East Indian fashion while I was thinking about this. The flow and silhouettes are what I'm wanting to convey, and I would also like to make it clear that I don't know a whole lot about this fashion, and I am not meaning to represent a culture as a whole. I am just taking inspiration from Bollywood and East Indian shapes. I drew up 2 concepts, and really the only difference between the two are the length and the color between the details. I took both of these and combined the concepts in my mind place. I kept these designs in the back of my head while I was working because I wanted to keep this process loose and accessible to all of the materials that I may or may not have. So I'm going to start with her top. Now, lingerie and underwear are difficult to make as it is, but in miniature, oh boy, it was an adventure. I started by making a pattern out of a receipt. Receipts are one of my favorite things for doll clothes because they are just the right size, I always have access to them, and they're flexible and easy to work with. I cut out the shape that I want and cut slits in the bottom to make it form-fitting. And also because she deserves to be supported! Then I make that into gold fabric, a blue studded fabric, and a turquoise and gold combination. And again, this process is loose, so I figured I would just wait to see what I thought looked best. Then, for her pants, I actually used the same pattern that I used for Danny's pants, thinking that they would be big and baggy enough to create the effect that I wanted, but it just came out weird. So, I trimmed it and added extra fabric to give it extra baggage. I added trim and now it looks just right. Then I compared the pants to the bra and decided that I didn't like the black straps. It added an edginess that I was not vibing with. I tried to make a lace shelf underneath in efforts to make it a little bit more gentle to the eyes, but I didn't really like that either. So I turned directly to my concept and made that. looks pretty alright if I do say so myself. The back is a little bit iffy, but that's okay. Now, I love the little butt ruffle in my design, and I've wanted to put this on a custom for a really long time. So I made one out of ribbon first, and I attached it wrong, first of all, and secondly, it looked pretty awful. So, I made a second one out of a better fabric that behaves better and is more flowy. I rounded the edges, attached it, and boom! It looks great! Now for her shoes. I didn't have a clear design for her shoes, so I just chose some shoes that I vibed with. I painted them the right colors. And ended up choosing the ones with the ankle strap. And quick little fun fact about these were actually my first trial for Bayonetta's shoes. So, in the lore and design that Wen has created, these Bunnariums actually have flower blossom tails. So while I was thinking about the type of tail that I wanted, I found these fake flowers in my stuff. One is sort of a primrose, and the other is a daisy, but I didn't like how flat they were. But then one day, I was going on a walk, and I passed a snowball bush, and I was like, oh my goodness! I know exactly what I need to do. So each cluster is made out of a bunch of these little flowers. So I drew out these shapes, cut them out, and using my metallic watercolors, I added shadows and age to the flowers. And then I coat green embroidery thread in Elmer's glue to make them stiff, and feed it through the paper flowers like you would a bead. Then I made a cluster of them, glue them all at the base, and then I figured I could just put them all into the hole that was already made for Toralei's tail. But then I remembered that I cut that portion off. So I marked the opening that I made in the back of the pants just for this, and began the colonoscopy. I don't own a drill in the proper size, so I had to melt a hole in the plastic. I set the flowers in place with E6000 glue, and then her outfit is complete. And here is where I must leave you. Part 3, the face-up, should be coming out within the next week, and hopefully that video will be a little bit more relaxing too. I know that this one has been a little bit frantic. And make sure to remind someone that you love them today, even if that person is yourself. Thanks for watching. Bye!